Hey everybody, it is time once again for another Rahdo Q&A. And hello everybody, I'm about to answer a bunch of questions submitted by folks like you to the email address questions@rahdo.com. And by all means, folks, if anything I talk about or my wife talks about, because she sometimes shows up on these as well, prompts any further questions from you, well, you know what to do. Questions@rahdo.com is the email address. Keep them coming, folks. I want to hear your cues so I can am. And speaking of which, let's get right to it. But, folks, I'm going to talk about several different topics today, and if any of them don't really strike your fancy, don't worry. There are links down in the show notes that let you jump around from question to question so you can listen to just the parts you're interested in. All right, sound good? Then let's go. Okie doke, everybody. Jen is here. A few more game questions, and then we get on to the personal stuff and our final epic conclusion to the story time of our trip. Since we're back home now, so we should probably tell you what happened as we traveled back north through Mexico.
Hey, spoiler, we made it.
We made it. Okay, anyway, though, that's for the personal section. Continuing with the game stuff, Honey Pie, Andrus says, in a recent YouTube comment about So Clover and how easy it is to cheat at the game, I replied that, apparently, Andrus made this comment, and I replied to Andrus that Andrus should get rid of his friends if he thinks they would cheat him in the game. Now, in my humble opinion, I would end up with no friends if I follow that advice. So my question is, have you ever cheated in a board game, intentionally or not? For example, 2 turns later you realized you took more resources than you should, and Jen or Rahdo didn't notice, so you just continue playing like nothing happened. Have you ever noticed your gaming partner cheating? Or maybe how often you notice other people cheating in games with you?
No, I don't ever notice anybody cheating because I don't pay attention to what anybody else doing.
You tend not to pay that much attention anyway.
But I do have to pay attention when you do your mega takebacks. Because you will go back sometimes.
You're mega take back too. You're the queen of the take back if I'm the king.
What?
We both do take backs all the time.
Yes, we do. But you will do like ones from a turn and a half ago. And sometimes you don't do the returning of the corn to the
right. Putting aside the cheating question for a bit,
It's not cheating.
We are both big fans of, you know what, if I had actually spent 2.5 minutes thinking what my best option was, this is what I would have done.
Yeah.
And do you mind if I just do that? Because it literally changes nothing about the game. And we're both just, yeah, of course, sure.
Yep.
We do that all the time.
All of the time.
Because one thing, it helps the game be faster. So that we don't have to spend, 8 minutes on every single turn to make sure we think of every permutation. Not that Jen doesn't do that anyway, but I certainly don't. And I often will catch, oh my God, this was so the obvious thing to do, I lose right now if I do this really stupid thing instead of the obvious thing I should have done.
Yes.
And occasionally those are, it changed nothing about the game, but my situation was entwined with what I did. So literally, I would just go backwards through all the steps I did and do the other thing instead. So we do that all the time, which I'm sure plenty of people think of as cheating right there. Heck, maybe you and your friends do, Andrus. I don't know. But yeah, we're not bothered by that at all.
And usually because we just play with each other, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. As for real cheating, I would say we cheat because there are plenty of times where we're like, oh, come on, that was a 1 in 20 frickin' chance. Can we just roll that die again?
Yeah, and I rolled the 6 the same time.
And again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we care more about fun than we do about the perfect sanctity of the game. I
agree with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we both knowingly, openly cheat. And again, this isn't just about cooperative games. This is in competitive games. We're like, oh, Honey Pie, that's horrible. I can't. That is like the one card in this entire deck of 250 cards that could completely ruin you. Let's just say that one was like somewhere shuffled at the bottom of the deck and draw again. We do that all the time.
Yep.
So, if anything, I think that probably gives you some idea of where our mindset is regarding cheating. Again, games are not some perfect sanctified thing that has to be respected. It's just a vehicle for fun.
Yeah.
That said, let's see. If you it's an interesting hypothetical question. If you noticed, hey, oh crap, 3 turns ago, I should have taken. I should not have taken. I took a 5 instead of a 1 or whatever. a simple little mistake.
Yeah.
Do you just go with it or do you fix it?
No, I think we have both done something where in the past I would take both resources instead of the one I was supposed to choose one
Or whatever, yeah, that
and
kind
we
of
would
stuff.
try and figure out some retroactive thing about, well, okay, so you shouldn't have had this or that. And
But you did, which means you did that, and you did the other thing, and you did that. So, and then, boy,
And
we
we
can't
can't,
undo that. But tell you what, how about we just say you didn't get your points for that card you played?
Yeah.
We try to do something like that, so it kind of evens out.
Yep.
Because we're really not that bothered. I mean, here's the thing. Sitting at the table, I know she's going to win anyway. So it doesn't matter what I do. I could cheat till the cows come home, and I'd probably still lose.
Well, and actually, because you don't keep as close an eye on me because you get so bored with my long turns, it is quite possible
It is
that
true.
I maybe don't understand the rules as well as he does, and I, make a mistake, which could be called cheating.
Jen has often hypothesized that her I forget, last time I checked was many years ago, and she would win like 67% of all the games we played, which and that a big portion of that she hypothesizes would be because, again, I just get so bored sometimes, and I'm just reading my phone like, okay, honey pie, whenever you're ready. And then she does these huge, insanely elaborate things, and occasionally it's true. Occasionally I say, why'd you do that? You can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, really, that probably happens at least a couple times a month that I will say, why? You can't do. And you're like, oh, really? Oh, I've been doing that the whole game. And you're like, all right.
I get
Well,
both
tell you what.
sets of resources, don't I?
Yeah,
Not just one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious thing.
I like
the
both
obvious
sets of
thing
resources.
for Jen, the obvious thing is always whatever's best for her. So that kind of happens. But going out of our way to cheat. No, I mean, no. Again, we do. Yeah, admittedly, because we'll say, yeah, that sucks. That is just a terrible, unfair roll. That is a ridiculous, outside the bounds of probability, just for no good reason, just to ruin your game. Roll the die again, draw the card again. We'll do that kind of stuff, and that's totally cheating. But we'll do it out in the open. Jen will just like, oh, I'll live with it. No, honey, you don't have to live with that. That's garbage. Do something. Have fun. We're here to have fun.
Yep, and that's really true because we've only got so much time in this world. Why be miserable? Just applying ourselves to everybody's rules that nobody's even going to notice.
And so retroactively, applying that to the question or the comment that you made, you remember So Clover, right? It's your new favorite game, and you want me to buy a copy of it, and clearly now I don't have to because you don't remember
yes, I do. I told what?
Well, I mentioned it in a video, and Andrus...
How would somebody cheat in So Clover?
It's very easy to cheat, because the reality is, my 4 clues, everybody else around the table is trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And they're like trying, and then they put all their cards on the right, and then it's my job to say, no, that one's wrong, or, whatever.
Yeah.
I could just say, yeah, you got them.
Oh, well, we took pictures of our clovers, so I guess there's no cheating if you take a picture of your clover.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, well, yes, but I mean, you do that just so you don't accidentally. But we could very easily, okay, well, you did the thing and go through all the stuff, and then you still got it wrong. And oh crap, now we're not going to have enough points to get a win. You know what? I'm just going to say you got it. Oh. Fine, because how can you tell? How can you test? It'd be very easy for me to just lie and say, "Good job, golfers clap. You're the best." We could do that. I haven't done it. I'll be honest, when we were playing So Clover, and mine was the last, and you guys were having a real... I mean, you ultimately did get it in your 2 tries.
Yeah.
And it did occur to me at the time that, boy, if they just don't get it, and they're working so hard for this, maybe I should just give it to them anyway. Because that's I would rather they have fun. And honestly, it would be more fun for us to, yeah, we did it! Just barely under the wire, than... okay, well, we tried. That was fun. One is more fun than the other.
Yeah.
And I would happily lie. I would happily cheat to ensure everybody had a good time. Now, as it happens, didn't have to.
He says now that he's introduced the thought into my head.
He was the one person who didn't take a picture of his clover as well, because I figured, I can remember this. I don't need... Although it's funny, everybody's taking a picture of the clover. I'm like, God, that's ridiculous. I don't need to. And then immediately... I don't remember what the heck anything. I don't remember any of this stuff.
Know.
Because I was the last player. So we went through all of your clothes before we finally got to mine. It was funny listening to you, and you guys were hypothesizing, maybe he did this, that, or the other. And I'm like, yes, I did. That is why I put that there. So you guys helped me remember what it was I did. So I know I didn't lie. But in all honesty, if I had read the room, I would have. Because I care more about everybody having fun.
Huh.
And now maybe, Andrus, that means you could never have fun playing a game with me because you're always afraid I might lie to ensure that you do have fun. I understand there are some players like that who, again, they care more about the sanctity of the simulation. But at the end of the day, what are you doing? You almost knocked the camera over. What are you doing over there? She's bringing dogs in. All right, but anyway, that's kind of where we're at. We don't have to slyly cheat because we'll just come right out and say, hey, I'm going to cheat right now because I'm not going to have a very good time if I don't.
Apparently you're going to slyly cheat, though.
But no, I mean, honestly, I wasn't sure if I would do it. Because I thought, well, should I?
Well, you've asked me several times in the past, could I not just sort of, not play as effectively and, wink,
well, no,
wink.
Could you just play a bit more from the hip? Could you just go a bit more with your instinct rather than your calculus brain? Because it would speed the game up significantly, and I would actually have a shot if you would play a little bit more like me, and you just can't bring yourself to do it. But no, I've never asked you to cheat. I don't think I've asked you to throw the game. That was not my intention anyway. My intention was just, how about you just go with your third hypothesis instead of your 3,000th that it took you to calculate to get to, Like a normal human being, but no. Alrighty, Daniel says, for you and Jen, continuation of last week's questions, although for us it's last month's questions. Which games, if any, would you play 50 times in the following 3 months, which are 75-ish minutes long? Honestly, I don't think this is a good question for Jen. Honey, can you think of any game you would play? Can you think of any game, period? I know, honestly, Daniel, I do not remember what the question was. I'm sure it was about game length and how often we play games. Honestly, I literally do not remember what this is kicking off of. What games would we play 50 times?
That's every other day.
In 3 months, every other day. What game would we play every other day that are 75 minutes-ish
The only
long?
game that would qualify in our entire history together would be Escape.
That's not a 75 minutes game, though.
I know, but it's something we've played 50 times within the course of a month or two.
Yeah, I suppose so. Even when we were playing Agricola, we were, back heavy before Rahdo Runs Your Star. We only played it once a week, not every other day.
Or maybe a couple times on the weekend or something, but that would be maybe 10
I guess this is a question more about, like what, maybe it's, there were a bunch of questions about burnout. Maybe this is a burnout related question. I'm sorry, Daniel. This is a bit too vague for me, buddy. Again, it was a week for you, but it's a month or more for us. I think I'm just going to, Daniel, I know you're going to listen to this. You can write back and, add a bit more clarity. What is the underlying question you're trying to ask here? And also, if it's a question for Jen, it can't be about specific games because Jen does not remember specific games. We play too many. And she's got too many other things to keep her full of her brain. Daniel T says, how many games do you think is a reasonable, normal amount of games for a hobbyist player to buy, own in a collection?
It's a collectuian.
A collectulian.
I like it. We have a very big collectuian.
Yes, we do.
How many per month is reasonable?
Well, no, that's the second question.
Oh.
The question is,
how many games?
What's a normal, reasonable amount of games for a hobbyist? Not for a normie, but for a hardcore geek.
I'm going to say 100 because then you could play a different game on Saturday and Sunday every week of the year and not repeat.
Okay. We have about 400.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's unreasonable?
Well, we're not hobbyists.
Well, yeah, we are.
We are professional game players.
Well, yeah, I suppose so, yes. I guess that's a fair point. That's another level of distinction. That's an interesting way to do it. I would have done the similar thing, but I would have done more, I would say 365, because I would have said, play a different game every day of the year. Enough so that every day you could play a different game. In a perfect world where you actually got to play a game every day because your partner wanted to play games as much as you. I don't know what that world is like, but maybe someday we'll live in it. And that's kind of to me, mid 300s, because I think that's reasonable. If you play each game one day per year, you're going to enjoy that game for the next 20 years.
That's true. Yeah, you definitely aren't going to get tired of it.
You are not going to need anything beyond that 300, mid 300s, because you've got 2 decades worth of play there. If you're just playing a game a day, and then don't play it again for another year, like, it's finally, it'll be so exciting to get it back.
And there might have been a an addition. What are they called?
Expansion.
Expansion for
Yeah.
it in the meantime.
Yep. So that's kind of where I'd go. But I was really seeing, I mean, and again, that I guess maybe is a reflection of me and Jen and our
He says
enthusiasm.
normal and hobbyist, though, in his question.
No. What's a normal amount for a hobbyist?
Yes.
A normal amount for a hardcore gamer.
Yes, but a hobbyist isn't going to be able to play a game a day.
A hobbyist, I would say a hobbyist would go out of their way. A hobbyist would want to. And again, I was about to say, that's the difference between you and me. I would like to play a game every day of the week, 7 days till Sunday. But Jen, it's kind of hard to get her to play more than maybe like 3 days a week. I think that's pretty much been our average for, going back years now. It's really hard to get her to sit down to the table more than 3 or 4 times a week, really. But if, which is, I think, to separate you, I don't think you're a hobbyist. I think you're more of a normal person who lives with a hobbyist, who has a job of a professional. So, because again, you looked at this, we came at this question coincidentally from the exact same direction, yet we had such a radically different answer because you're like, oh yeah, just playing every Saturday and Sunday. That's all you need. Whereas me, I'm playing this every day. And I mean, that's so
Maybe that's an
perfectly,
enthusiast versus a hobbyist.
Well, what's the difference between an enthusiast and a hobbyist? They're the same thing.
Not really. A hobbyist is somebody who does stuff in their spare time. An enthusiast is somebody who has a bit of a passion.
Alexa, what is the definition of a hobbyist?
A hobbyist is someone who enjoys an activity or subject as a leisure activity, typically outside of their main occupation. The term hobbyist can refer to someone who is passionate about a particular subject or activity, such as painting, gardening, or collecting stamps. Hobbyists often devote their free time to pursuing their interests and may even engage in the activity professionally at some point.
Oh.
See,
In short, a hobbyist is someone who enjoys doing something as a pastime.
Yep. So yeah, a pastime. I think a pastime is something you do want to do a lot, not just once or twice a week. You're not a hobbyist at that point. You're a dabbler. You're a normie. And again, I mean, when you were approached with this question, you said, yeah, it'd be nice to be able to play a different game every weekend. That means you're not a hobbyist, honey pie. And I am, because I would like to play a different game 7 days a week. I would play every single day if you would make yourself available, but you don't. And there have been times, obviously, if I'm under a lot of pressure and I got a lot of stuff to play, that will play more often than that, but I don't think that's your natural predilection at all. But heck, maybe you're subject to change. On the other hand, you had a really great time at the Dice Tower West.
I did.
Playing tons of games, like a hardcore hobbyist. And you're like, oh, this is a lot of fun. And that was very inconsistent with what you normally do. Anyway, and actually all of that, I think, kind of hit on Daniel's second question, which was how many per, say, month is reasonable? And I assume you meant how many plays per month. And obviously that's what we were just ending up talking about. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on, unless you had anything more to say on that particular topic.
Nope.
Would you like to try and find a second definition of hobbyist?
No.
That is more in line with what you thought a hobbyist was?
I hope you don't get into copyright issues having someone like Lady A answer your questions online.
I don't think it's a particular problem. Why would you suspect that?
Because, there are algorithms or whatever that find if you're playing music on your YouTube channel and then they know that.
I don't think such a thing exists well, we'll find out. That'll be very interesting, but I doubt it.
Our guest speaker today was...
Yes. Nate R. says, long-time watcher, first-time questioner. My question revolves around how you mentally deal with rude gamers. I know the majority of the time you play with Jen, and when you go to conventions, you must experience some rude gamers. You know the kind. Annoyingly loud, happily in your face, most likely stinky. And he actually wrote in LOL, but Jen genuinely laughed out loud. So that was Jen filling in. I understand my experience and yours will most likely be different as you have a public persona and some of these types may be your fans. Nonetheless, do you just tune them out as politely as possible and carry on with your enjoyment of the game, or does it, like me, taint your experience with the game? Thanks for continuing to create entertaining and enlightening content. That's really interesting. I mean, obviously, I go to conventions. I play with lots of people. I play with as many people as I can because I know I'm kind of like literally a draw, and it's a big deal for people to play games with me. So I don't want to turn anybody away. But I don't think I tend to run into rude people. I mean, one thing, the ways you defined it, the happily in your face, like suck it type stuff. I just don't play games with people that would engender that type of. I mean, no one's gonna say, yeah, look at how I built that building. Suck it! You won't ever build a building that nice. That just doesn't happen.
I got 5 corn.
5 corn! What do you got over there? 2 corn? Oh, you suck. I mean, it doesn't come. I mean, we're not playing Ameritrashy style games. We're not playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots. So I don't think the games I tend to play with people engender that sort of experience. And I don't think I've ever sat down and played with a stinky person. I mean, I'm sure it must happen.
No, I can remember when we went to Essen. They had actual stations in the hallways with deodorant and...
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I know it's being addressed at conferences, which was interesting, I thought. But I can't actually remember ever playing with somebody who was offensively odorous.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's happened, but I don't think so. I mean, the reality is, when you're playing a convention, you're in a big open-air space. There's just... I don't think... I mean, someone would have to be really over the top to be ripe enough to have that happen. And then, just annoyingly loud. I mean, heck, if there's anybody at the table who's annoyingly loud, it's this guy.
Yeah.
Right here.
I've decided I'm not sitting across from him anymore at conventions because he has big lungs.
I do. But just, I mean, you didn't mention, but rudeness in general. Just like somebody with antisocial tendencies. I guess I have played with people who are like, obviously... don't necessarily have the best decorum, but nobody I don't think it's ever happened that I played with somebody who's just out and out rude. And again, maybe, my best guess is 2 things. 1, the types of games I'm going to sit down and play don't engender that type of player to come and sit. And 2, I am a celebrity. Does that make people more on their best behavior around me? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing. Maybe that's the case, that people want to rise to the occasion and be as, jovial and happy and, happy-go-lucky as me. Maybe. I'm just guessing. But I don't think it's happened. I guess it must have, and maybe I just tuned it out because I tend to focus on the positive and eliminate the negative.
I'm trying to think if I've had negative experiences playing with anybody ever. And the only thing that pops into my mind was actually at a game store in Los Angeles.
Yeah?
Where you weren't there. I was with FO, and there was a guy who was teaching us the game. And
do you remember what the game was?
No, I don't. FO might, but and it was years ago. I mean, like...
Was it before Rahdo started? Before the channel started? No, so it was within the last decade.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, go on.
But anyway, so the guy who was teaching the game, either I didn't quite grok what he was saying or whatever, but anyway, he won. Mm-hmm. And it was quite clear about, half to 3/4 of the way in that he was playing to a much higher level than all of us newbies were. Mm-hmm. And to me, that was rude. That he essentially he won the game and pleased himself over making sure that we had a good time.
Mm-hmm. Because he won by such a wide margin that everybody was demoralized?
Well, but and also that we could see that, he knew how to play and had set himself up in such a way that he just had like advanced knowledge of the game. Mm-hmm. And it made, I don't know if it made everybody else feel stupid. It made me feel stupid. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thing. And that's not necessarily rude. That may be just a person who's more interested in winning than being a good teacher.
Well, I do think that's a form of rudeness. About the only real rudeness I can think of is my famous game with Jason Levine, the gaming machine from the Dice Tower. Yeah. And he was just very into it, and he was just getting really agitated about the fact that we were not playing Princess of Florence the right way, because there's a way that everybody knows you're supposed to play, and if you make a move that's different than that, you're playing wrong, and you're messing it up for everybody, and he was really getting agitated, and so what did I do? I was in a case where I was playing with somebody who was actually being... very loud and kind of obnoxious about it. I'll tell you what I did. I stopped him mid one of his tirades and said, "Hey, Jason, this is just not cool. You are taking this way too seriously. This is just a game. Could you just take a chill pill on this?" And now the interesting thing is, I was the one who was out of line because everybody we were playing with were his regular gaming group and the rest of them were very used to that sort of thing. So I have no idea if, so obviously he was not getting that kind of pushback. He was just playing with people who were used to it. I pushed back. I tried to do it in a positive way, in a not aggressive or confrontational way. And she's like, "Dude, come on. We're all just having a game here. I really think you're pushing this narrative too hard." Yeah, we're new. Because there were it was 5 people. He and 2 others, they knew the game backwards and forward. Me and another player were both noobs, and we didn't know what we were doing. And we were making, quote, wrong moves, because Princess of Florence, like Puerto Rico, is one of those games where you can have that kind of weird situation. And yeah, I just confronted it head on. I think that's what I would do in any circumstance. I think. But I couldn't tell you. Anyway. And that's it, folks. We are done with gaming, and now we're going to move on to the personal stuff. And if you don't care about the personal stuff, then thanks as always for listening, and we'll catch you next month. Send those questions to questions@rahdo.com. But if you want to hear about me and Jen and our life on the road that has come to an end, and oh my gosh, so many stories, hang on, and we'll be right back. And that will be the end of this session of the Rahdo Q&A. Thank you, folks, for watching and also for submitting your questions. Send me more to the email address questions@rahdo.com, and I'll get you covered in a future episode. And in the meantime, if you would like to hear some more, you're in luck. I have been doing the Rahdo Talks Through audio podcast for years now with my wife, Jen, and we have got hundreds of hours for you to enjoy. You can hit that big box that's on screen right now if you want to dive deep. Also, you can go on ahead and subscribe so you won't miss the next Rahdo Q&A. And thank you, folks, for watching, for listening. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.